Have you ever felt so hopeless that it seemed like the whole world just stopped? What I'm about to share with you is backed by science and spirituality, and it can change how you see every challenge. Did you know studies show that just 3 minutes of meditation or prayer can reduce cortisol, the stress hormone, by up to 20%? That's right. And today, I'll show you how hope can be awakened inside you, right now. Before we continue, smash that like button so this video reaches those who need this message. And if you've been through tough times, comment below, what was the sign God sent you when you needed it most? Sometimes, in the middle of silence, we feel like God has disappeared. But silence can be the place where He speaks the loudest. Neuroscience shows that quiet moments activate the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain linked to intuition and peace. So when you're in your nothingness, don't be afraid. That emptiness might be preparation for something greater. Try this now, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and feel this moment. Write in the comments what you felt. If this touched you, share this video with a friend who needs this sign. The end of a season isn't the end of your story. Look at nature, winter looks like death, but it's the soil preparing to bloom. Environmental scientists confirm that renewal cycles are essential for ecosystems, and your life works the same way. If something ended, it's time to make room for something new. Here's a challenge, write a list of what you want to leave behind and share it in the comments. Let's transform endings into beginnings together. Like this video if you believe in the power of new beginnings. True faith doesn't grow in comfort, but in struggle. Positive psychology research shows people who face adversity develop greater resilience and gratitude. Remember stories like Daniel in the lion's den, trials that tested faith and resulted in miracles. Have you ever faced a fire that strengthened you? Share your story below to inspire others. If this message touched your heart, hit like and turn on notifications for more soul-nourishing content. American culture often teaches us to hold back tears, but tears are powerful. They release toxins and show surrender, a silent prayer. The Bible says God collects every tear in a bottle. If you're crying today, know you're not alone. Comment, I believe, to strengthen your faith and others. Share this video with someone who needs a hug today. In the US, hustle culture is strong, but science proves rest is essential for productivity and mental health. During sleep, our brain processes emotions and renews energy. So even when you pause, God never stops. He's working behind the scenes in your life. Trust the process. If you believe God is preparing something for you, type Amen in the comments. Your pain can be the bridge that helps others. Many Americans have transformed trauma into powerful movements of healing and hope. Your story matters and can be God's instrument to change lives. Write one word that defines your overcoming in the comments. Nothing is by chance. You're here now to receive this message of hope. If this video touched you, subscribe for more content that strengthens your faith and mind. Share this video with at least 3 people who need this message today. Together, we can spread hope. Tell me, what was the biggest sign God has sent you in a dark moment? Write it in the comments, your story could be the light someone else needs. The silence that speaks, when God talks in the quiet. There are moments in life when everything just stops. The phone doesn't ring. The prayers don't seem to leave the room. And your heart whispers, God, are you even there? We've all been there, driving home under a gray sky, sitting in an empty kitchen at midnight, or lying awake while the world sleeps. And in that quiet, it feels like God's gone silent. But listen closely, because silence doesn't always mean absence. Sometimes, God speaks the loudest when He says nothing at all. He's not ignoring you. He's preparing you. He's shaping your heart in ways words could never reach. What looks like stillness is actually movement, divine movement. While you're waiting, He's working. While you're questioning, He's answering, just not in the language of noise, but in the language of peace. So if you feel lost tonight, if the silence feels heavy, remember this, God hasn't forgotten your name. He's just building something that requires stillness first. Because sometimes, the quiet is the workshop of miracles. And maybe, just maybe, this is the moment you were meant to hear that. Sometimes, what feels like the end is just the beginning in disguise. Life has a way of closing doors abruptly, leaving us standing in the hallway wondering why the lights went out. But here's the truth, those doors don't close to trap you. They close to free you. When a chapter ends, it's not because the story is over, it's because God is making space for something new, something bigger than you imagined. It's like the seasons in nature, winter seems harsh and endless, but it's only the soil resting, gathering strength, preparing to burst forth with life in spring. Think about the most beautiful landscapes in America, the Grand Canyon, Yosemite, the Great Smoky Mountains. They didn't become majestic overnight. The earth was carved and reshaped through years of pressure, storms, and erosion. In the same way, your life's endings might be the cracks and shifts shaping a stronger, more magnificent you. When your hopes fall apart, when your plans unravel, that doesn't mean failure. It means transformation. You're not losing your way, you're stepping onto a new path, one that only you can walk, one that was designed specifically for your growth. The pain of letting go is real. Saying goodbye to what you loved, what you dreamed of, what felt safe, it cuts deep. But in that farewell lies freedom. It's a sacred kind of freedom, the kind that says, I am ready for what God has next, even if I don't see it yet. Remember Abraham and Sarah? They waited for decades for a promise. When it finally came, it was in a way they never expected, late in life, against all odds. The end of their childlessness was actually the start of a covenant that changed history. Your story holds that same potential. Every end carries a hidden seed, wrapped in mystery and hope. What seems like a failure today may be the foundation for your greatest triumph tomorrow. It may feel like you're falling apart, but you're really falling into God's hands. So when you face endings, don't close your heart. Don't shut the door on what's ahead. Instead, stand at the threshold, breathe deep, and say, I trust you, God, even when I don't understand. Because in that trust, you step into the power of new beginnings. And here's the most beautiful part, new beginnings aren't always loud or dramatic. Sometimes, they're quiet, a gentle nudge, a small door opening, a whisper in the wind. But every single one is filled with purpose. You are not defined by what you lost. You are defined by the courage to rise again. You are defined by the faith to believe in the unseen. And no matter how many times it feels like the end, God's promise remains the same, there is always a new dawn waiting for you. So keep your eyes open for the signs, the moments of unexpected joy, the people who show up at just the right time, the opportunities that seem too small to matter but lead to something greater. They are all part of the divine reawakening. This is the truth that carries you through the dark nights, your story is not finished. It's just being rewritten. The pen is in God's hand, and the ink flows with hope, grace, and an unshakable promise, the best is yet to come. The faith that survives the fire. Faith isn't born in comfort. It's forged in the flames of hardship, in the moments when everything around you seems to be burning down. When the storm rages and the ground shakes beneath your feet, that's when faith either crumbles or grows stronger. Think about the American pioneers who crossed vast wildernesses, facing dangers at every turn. They didn't walk by sight, but by faith. They believed in a future they couldn't see yet, trusting the promise of a land that would become home. That's the kind of faith you're being called to today. God never promised a life free from pain or struggle. Instead, He promised to walk with us through the fire. He's there, not just watching from afar, but carrying you when your legs give out, whispering courage when your heart is heavy. The fire is never meant to consume you. It's meant to purify. It's meant to burn away doubt, fear, and anything that keeps you from fully trusting Him. Like gold refined by fire, your faith comes out stronger, purer, and more resilient. When you feel like you're being tested beyond what you can bear, remember, every trial has a purpose. It's shaping a strength inside you that can only come through overcoming. And in that strength, you'll find a faith that doesn't just survive, it thrives. Look at the stories of the Bible: Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the fiery furnace, Daniel in the lion's den. Their faith wasn't just a quiet hope, it was a roaring trust that God was with them, even in the worst of fires. And God delivered them. He will deliver you too. Your fire is not your enemy. It's the fire that burns away what's holding you back. It's the fire that lights the way forward when everything else is dark. So when the heat feels unbearable, and you want to give up, hold on a little longer. That fire is working for you, not against you. Faith that survives the fire is faith that can move mountains, change lives, and stand unshaken through every storm. And you are stronger than you know. Because the God who holds the universe also holds your heart. Crying is also a form of prayer. Sometimes, words escape us. Sometimes, the heart is too heavy to speak, and the soul is too tired to fight. In those moments, tears become the language we use, silent, honest, and deeply human. In American culture, there's often pressure to stay strong, to keep pushing, to tough it out. But crying isn't weakness. It's courage. It's surrender. It's an honest conversation with God that doesn't need words. When you cry, you're not just releasing pain, you're opening a door. You're telling God, I'm here. I'm broken. I need you. And He hears every single drop, every tear, carrying your unspoken prayers straight to His heart. Think of the countless stories across America: veterans who find healing through tears, survivors who rediscover hope after breaking down, families who find peace after mourning together. Tears connect us to our shared humanity and to a God who understands every ache. The Bible reminds us that God collects our tears in a bottle, that no pain is wasted or unnoticed. When you cry, you're giving God space to work in the broken places. Your tears are not the end of your story. They are the beginning of healing. They wash away the dust of despair and prepare the soil of your soul for new growth. So don't hold back the tears when they come. Let them fall freely, knowing that God is there, holding you, comforting you, and whispering, "You are not alone." Crying is a prayer of the heart, a bridge from pain to peace, a sacred language between you and the divine. And sometimes, that's exactly what your soul needs to heal and rise again. While you sleep, God works. There are nights when the weight of the world feels too heavy to carry. When your body is exhausted, your mind restless, and your spirit worn thin. You might feel like giving up, like surrendering to the darkness around you. But here's a truth to hold on to: even when you sleep, God never does. In America, we often celebrate hustle and hard work, grinding from dawn till dusk. But sometimes, the most powerful work happens in the quiet, unseen moments when we rest. When you close your eyes, God's hands are still moving, orchestrating the pieces of your life with divine precision. While you lie there, seemingly doing nothing, He is opening doors, breaking chains, and lighting the path ahead. What looks like waiting or silence is actually sacred preparation. The miracles you seek don't always come through your effort alone, sometimes they come through God's faithful, relentless work behind the scenes. Think of the stories of farmers in the Midwest who plant seeds and trust the soil, rain, and sun to do the rest. They work hard, but they also know that growth takes time and patience. Similarly, your dreams and prayers are seeds planted in God's hands, and He waters them even when you're resting. So don't be discouraged when it feels like nothing is happening. Rest is not wasted time. It's part of the process. God's timing is perfect, and His love never takes a break. When you wake up tomorrow, you might find new strength, new hope, and new opportunities waiting for you, gifts that came while you were simply trusting and resting. While you sleep, God is working. And that is a promise you can hold on to, no matter how dark the night feels. The wound that hurts you is the same one that will heal others. Pain leaves marks, scars that tell stories no words can fully explain. In the United States, we often hear about turning your pain into purpose, and that's more than just a saying. It's a powerful truth rooted in the way God works through our brokenness. The very wounds you carry, the betrayals, losses, disappointments, aren't just scars, they're seeds. Seeds of empathy, compassion, and strength that grow into something far greater than yourself. Think about the countless Americans who've transformed their struggles into missions, from activists who fought for civil rights to survivors who now support others facing similar battles. Your pain, when surrendered to God, becomes a beacon of hope. God doesn't waste suffering. He redeems it. The hurt that once left you feeling isolated and defeated can become the very thing that connects you deeply with others. It allows you to say, "I've been there," and offer real healing, real understanding. This is the heart of ministry and true service, to take your brokenness and use it as a bridge for others to cross from despair to hope. The wounds that hurt you are the same wounds that will heal someone else's soul. So, when you feel broken, don't hide. Don't feel ashamed. God is crafting a purpose in your pain, a way for your story to touch and transform lives. Remember, your scars are not signs of defeat, they are emblems of survival and the foundation for new life. You didn't get here by accident. Nothing in your life is by chance, not this moment, not this video, not your feelings right now. In the United States, we often talk about divine appointments, moments when God orchestrates encounters and experiences for our highest good. This moment is one of them. Maybe you're tired, broken, or feeling completely lost. But hear this clearly, God still believes in you. He hasn't forgotten you. The very fact that you are here, reading or listening right now, is proof that He's still writing your story. Life's twists and turns, the ups and downs, the heartaches and victories, all have led you to this point. You didn't stumble here. You were brought here intentionally. In a culture that often feels rushed and chaotic, God's timing reminds us that there is purpose behind the pause. There is meaning behind the struggle. And there is a plan behind every setback. You are not defined by your past mistakes, your failures, or your fears. You are defined by the God who calls you by name, who sees your worth even when you don't. So take a deep breath and believe, the next chapter is already unfolding. Doors are opening. Blessings are on their way. You are here for a reason. You are part of a bigger story, one full of hope, redemption, and new beginnings. And the best is yet to come. Upon careful reflection of the entire message, which masterfully intertwines faith, science, spirituality, and the human experience, it becomes evident that this text is not merely an isolated meditation, but rather a profound journey through the human soul and the mysterious ways in which God reveals Himself through pain, silence, tears, and stillness. The narrative unfolds as both a spiritual guide and a psychological mirror, inviting the reader to recognize that every moment of despair, every season of emptiness, and every tear shed in solitude carries within it a divine purpose, invisible to the eyes, yet deeply perceptible through faith. The author, with a voice both tender and transcendent, weaves together insights from neuroscience, positive psychology, and sacred scripture to build a bridge between the visible and the invisible, between reason and revelation. He demonstrates that hope is not a naive sentiment but a living force capable of reshaping the mind, renewing the heart, and rewriting the story of one's life. Science confirms that prayer and meditation can reduce stress, while faith teaches that silence is often the very language of God. At that intersection of science and spirit, the human being rediscovers meaning, not as something found outside of themselves, but as something awakened within. It becomes clear that, for the narrator, life unfolds in cyclical seasons much like those found in nature. Winter, though cold and lifeless, is not a symbol of death but of sacred rest, the earth gathering strength for its eventual bloom. Likewise, human suffering is not an ending but a preparation for rebirth. The imagery of grand American landscapes, the Grand Canyon, Yosemite, the Great Smoky Mountains, serves as a poignant metaphor, just as these places were sculpted through years of pressure, erosion, and storm, so too is the human spirit shaped by adversity. Faith, therefore, is not born in comfort but in the crucible of challenge, it is refined, like gold, by fire. The text also carries a social and cultural resonance, particularly in its critique of modern American hustle culture, a mindset that glorifies exhaustion and discourages vulnerability. Against this backdrop, the author presents a countercultural truth, that rest is not idleness but sacred renewal, and that tears are not weakness but prayer in its purest form. In American society, where strength is often equated with stoicism, this message redefines strength as the courage to feel deeply, to surrender, and to trust. Tears, the author insists, are not signs of defeat, they are the body's own liturgy, each drop a prayer rising silently to heaven. In this recognition, humanity is restored, and divinity feels nearer. At the heart of this message lies a singular conviction: nothing happens by chance. In a world often defined by chaos, coincidence, and uncertainty, the author introduces the sacred notion of divine orchestration, that every event, every encounter, every silence holds intention. What appears as loss is often transformation. What feels like delay is preparation. What looks like emptiness is divine construction. In this worldview, the ordinary becomes extraordinary, the mundane is infused with purpose. Even suffering, when placed in God's hands, becomes sacred, a vessel for redemption and renewal. Through his compassionate tone and participatory language, the author invites the audience not merely to listen but to engage, to comment, to reflect, to share their stories of divine encounters. In doing so, the message evolves from a sermon into a communal movement of hope. The "you" in the text gradually transforms into a "we," a collective of believers, seekers, and survivors who remind one another that no pain is wasted and no silence is empty. Ultimately, this message stands as a lyrical and theological synthesis of the human pilgrimage, one that begins in despair, journeys through silence, passes through the refining fire of faith, and emerges into the light of divine renewal. The faith that survives the fire becomes a timeless symbol of transformation, proof that trials do not come to destroy, but to reveal. Biblical figures such as Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, Abraham, and Sarah appear not as distant icons, but as living mirrors reflecting the modern believer's own struggles and triumphs. Their endurance becomes the blueprint for a faith that still burns bright in the furnaces of today's world. In its essence, this message proclaims that human beings are not defined by their failures but by their ability to rise again, not by the weight of their pain, but by the persistence of their hope. When they sleep, God works; when they weep, God listens; when they wait, God prepares. Life, then, is not a string of accidents but a sacred composition orchestrated by unseen hands, a divine symphony where pain turns into purpose, silence into wisdom, and endings into rebirths. In third person, it can be said that the author has crafted a hymn of hope, one that offers not escape from reality, but a new way of perceiving it. He redefines suffering as sacred soil, faith as endurance, and love as the thread holding all things together. Through this lens, no moment is wasted, and no story is truly over. Each silence becomes the workshop of miracles, each wound, a doorway to compassion. The text, in its totality, reminds every reader that even in the darkest night, the ink of God's promise continues to write across the pages of human existence, the best is yet to come.